I don't know where else to turn. I really loved my wife, but something is wrong. I've tried having this conversation with her at least 10 times. Every time, she nods like she understands. Every time, she promises it won't happen again. And every night, I wake up to find her standing at the edge of my bed, staring down at me, smiling. Not a normal smile. Not the kind of smile you give someone you love. It's too still, too wide, like she's waiting for me to understand something she already knows. The worst part is, I really did love her. When we first got married, I thought I had found my soulmate. She was funny, gentle, affectionate, and intense in a way that made me feel chosen. Back then, I mistook that intensity for love. After the wedding, something changed. It wasn't sudden enough for me to notice at first. It happened slowly. Little comments, little tests, little punishments when I didn't react the way she wanted. If I took too long to answer a text, she asked who I was really talking to. If I wanted an hour alone, she asked why I hated being around her. If I looked tired, she accused me of being tired of her. At first, I apologized. Then I explained. Then I begged her to understand. Eventually, I started questioning myself. Maybe I was distant. Maybe I was cold. Maybe I really was hurting her without realizing it. That was how she got in. She learned exactly which words made me feel guilty. She learned when to cry, when to go quiet, when to look at me like I had destroyed her. And when none of that worked, she started threatening to hurt herself. She never said it plainly. She was smarter than that. She would say things like, "Sometimes you make me wish I was never born." Or, "If I disappear one day, I hope you remember this conversation." Or, "I don't know what I'll do if you ever leave me." Then she would stare at me, waiting. So I stayed. I stayed because I loved her. I stayed because I was afraid. I stayed because I thought leaving would make me responsible for whatever she did next. I know how pathetic that sounds, but when someone spends years twisting your emotions into knots, you stop knowing where your responsibility ends and their manipulation begins. The phone thing started about a year into our marriage. I would fall asleep with my phone charging beside the bed. In the morning, it would be gone. Not dead, not under the blanket, gone. I would search everywhere. The nightstand, the laundry basket, the bathroom, under the bed. She would watch me from the doorway, sipping coffee, calm, patient, almost amused. Then, when I was close to losing my mind, it would reappear. Back on the charger, right where I had left it. The first time, I thought I had made a mistake. The second time, I felt stupid. By the fifth time, I knew. She was hiding it. When I confronted her, she didn't deny it. Not exactly. "It's not my fault you didn't see it," she said. "Then you spend too much time on your phone anyway. Then I'm the only person you should be talking to." That sentence stayed with me. I'm the only person you should be talking to. After that, I started keeping my phone under my pillow, then in my pajama pocket, then inside the pillowcase. It didn't matter. Some mornings it was still gone, and she would still be there, watching me search. One morning, I found it in the freezer. Another time, it was inside a cereal box. Once it was in the guest bathroom sink, sitting in a puddle of water. She cried when I got angry. She said I cared more about a phone than my wife. She said I was making her feel unwanted. She said she only did things like that because she was scared of losing me. That was always her excuse. Fear. She was afraid, so she lied. She was afraid, so she controlled me. She was afraid, so she punished me. And somehow, I was always the cruel one for noticing. The night watching started after I moved into the guest room. I didn't move out of anger. I moved because I was exhausted. She had started waking me up 2 or 3 times a night, sometimes crying, sometimes asking if I still loved her, sometimes just shaking me awake and saying she had a bad feeling. I couldn't function anymore. I couldn't work. I couldn't think. I couldn't sleep beside her without waiting for the next crisis. So I started sleeping in the guest room. The first night, she knocked on the door for 40 minutes. The second night, she sat outside it and cried. The third night, she stopped crying. That should have scared me more than it did. A few nights later, I woke up at 3:12 in the morning. I remember the exact time because the clock on the nightstand was the only thing I could look at first. I had that strange feeling you get when someone is in the room with you. That heavy, electric feeling in the air. Like your body notices danger before your mind does. I opened my eyes. She was standing at the foot of the bed. Barefoot, wearing one of my old shirts, her hair hanging around her face, her hands resting at her sides. And she was smiling. I screamed. I'm not proud of that, but I screamed. She didn't move. She didn't blink. She just kept looking down at me. When I finally managed to ask what she was doing, she tilted her head and said, "I missed you." Like that explained everything. The next morning, she acted normal. Made breakfast, asked if I wanted coffee, kissed my cheek before work. I told her she couldn't do that again. I told her it scared me. I told her standing over someone while they sleep was not normal. She cried. Of course she cried. She said I made her feel like a monster. She said she only wanted to be close to me. She said I was punishing her for loving too much. I wanted to believe that. I really did. Then it happened again. And again. Sometimes she stood in the doorway. Sometimes at the side of the bed. Once I woke up and she was sitting on the floor with her back against the wall, knees pulled to her chest, smiling in the dark. Another time, she was so close I could feel her breath on my face. That was the night I decided I needed a divorce. I didn't tell her immediately. I started quietly gathering documents, bank statements, insurance papers, copies of things I didn't want disappearing. But she noticed. She always noticed. One morning, my folder was gone from the desk. That night it was back. All the papers were inside, but every page had been turned upside down. She never mentioned it. Then the kitchen knives started disappearing. At first, it was one of the small ones, then the bread knife, then the large chef's knife we kept in the wooden block by the stove. I asked her where they were. She smiled and said, "Maybe you misplaced them." I checked the drawers, the dishwasher, the sink, the trash. Nothing. 2 days later, they were back in the block. Clean, shining, all except the biggest one. That one stayed missing. Around the same time, I started hearing noises at night. Not loud noises, not footsteps exactly, more like soft dragging sounds in the hallway. Sometimes I heard breathing outside the guest room door. Sometimes I heard fingernails against wood. Slow, Careful. Testing. In the morning, I found scratches near the handle. Thin white lines carved into the paint, 4 at a time, like someone had stood there and dragged their nails down the door. When I showed her, she looked genuinely confused. Then she looked hurt. "You think I did that?" she asked. I didn't answer. That was answer enough. The next morning, the scratches were painted over. I served her the divorce papers a week later. I expected screaming, crying, threats, maybe breaking things. Instead, she just sat at the kitchen table and read them quietly. Her face was blank, completely blank. Then she placed the papers down, folded her hands on top of them, and smiled. "You don't mean this," she said. I told her I did. "You'll feel better tomorrow." I told her I wouldn't. "Let's go to bed," she said. "I can take your mind off it." That was when I realized she wasn't refusing to understand. She understood perfectly. She just didn't care. That day was awful. She cried. She begged. She threatened. She told me I was killing her. She told me no one would ever love me like she did. For the first time, I didn't comfort her. I let her cry. I let her scream. I let her say whatever she needed to say. And then I went to the guest room and locked the door. I should have gone to a hotel. I know that now. But at the time, I thought she wouldn't actually hurt me. She had threatened before. She had scared me before. But she had never crossed that final line. At 2:47 in the morning, I woke up. There was no sound at first. No crying. No knocking. No scratching. Just silence. Then the door creaked open. I had locked it. She stood in the doorway. She wasn't crying this time. She wasn't shaking. She wasn't pretending to be hurt. She was smiling. In her right hand was the missing kitchen knife. She gripped it so tightly, her knuckles looked white. The blade trembled a little. Not because she was afraid, because she was excited. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I just lay there under the blanket, staring at my wife while she stared back at me. After a long time, she whispered, "I love you to death, honey." Then she slowly closed the door. I didn't sleep after that. I pushed the dresser in front of the door. I sat with my back against the wall until sunrise. In the morning, the knife was back in the kitchen block. Clean. Perfect. She made pancakes. I still followed through with the divorce. I had to. I couldn't let fear be the reason I stayed. But the process is slow. Too slow. We still live in the same house. Neither of us wants to leave. The house is in both our names, and every conversation about one of us moving out becomes another performance. She says she has nowhere to go. She says the house is full of our memories. She says abandoning it would be like abandoning the marriage. I know what she really means. She knows I won't give up the house, and she knows I'm trapped here until this is settled. Things have gotten worse. Last week, I woke up to 27 missed calls from my own phone. My phone was on the nightstand beside me. I had been asleep. The call history showed every call had come from my number. When I opened my messages, there was a text sent from my phone to hers at 3:03 a.m. It said, "I miss sleeping beside you." I didn't send it. She showed it to me at breakfast and smiled like it proved something. "See," she said, "you still love me when you're not overthinking." 2 nights ago, I found the guest room window open from the inside. I know I locked it. I check it every night now. Yesterday morning, there were scratches on the inside of the door again. This time, they weren't near the handle. They were lower, near the floor. Like someone had been lying there, dragging their nails slowly across the wood while listening to me sleep. Tonight, I decided to write this down. I don't know if I'm asking for advice. I don't know if I'm leaving evidence. Maybe I just need someone to know that I tried to leave. She's been quiet for the last hour. Too quiet. I can hear the house settling, the refrigerator humming downstairs, the wind pushing against the window, and something else. A soft sound in the hallway, almost like breathing. I locked the door. I checked it twice. The dresser is pushed in front of it. But my phone just lit up. A new message. From my own number. It says, "Don't turn around." I thought it was impossible. I thought she was outside the door. I thought the breathing was coming from the hallway. But now I can hear it behind me. Slow, close, smiling